Silence is really the crux of this teaching. I remember once when I was being interviewed on the radio back in the days, after meeting Papaji and coming back to the States and having interviews, and I suggested that we be silent for a few minutes, just 2 or 3 minutes, before we started talking, and the host was appalled. "You cannot have silence on the radio," she said. And I said, "Well, let's just try it. Let's see. We won't blow up." And it was beautiful. And it was beautiful because it was so unusual. There's the natural beauty of silence, but in a place where there's an assumption that there can be no silence because it would be dead space, it was discovered to be actually quite alive and really made the following discussion have more depth and more aliveness. So at any point in this meeting, you always have full permission to just stop and be silent. That's what this whole meeting is pointing to. I met my teacher 34 years ago, and after being with him for a short while, he sent me out to meet you, to meet those who might be interested. And I remember saying to him, "Well, what do I say? What do I do?" Because I hadn't studied the lineage. I didn't know the teaching in abstract or intellectual terms. And he said, "You just be yourself and people will catch fire. And those people who catch fire will ask questions. And then you will answer those questions." So I don't know if you have caught fire yet, but there is a fire burning that is inviting you, and it is your own consciousness. It is the life force that is living the life that you call by your particular name. And it's that life force that is conscious that I am speaking to and supporting and training your mind to be subservient to. Our minds are totally powerful and awesome, unimaginable, unthinkable power that we have to formulate thoughts and deeds and art and music and war and suffering. And we assume that it's just reality or a commentary on reality or a distillation of reality or figuring out how to deal with reality. But really, our minds are more like what we see as AI today. Our minds are extensions of this intelligence that comes from the beingness that is who each of us is. And like the fears of AI, and maybe we have these fears about AI because we know our own minds, we fear our minds can take over, can start running the ship, can run the life force. And that's generally actually what happens. There are some people who are naturally blessed with quiet or sattvic minds, who are at peace naturally. But most people in the East and the West have become victims of their own thinking, of their own mind's power. And when I met my teacher, Papaji, 34 years ago, and I asked him in all earnestness and readiness, I thought, "Please help me, please show me where freedom is." And he said, "Just be still." Since I had practiced meditation for some years, I assumed in my mind that I knew what just being still meant. And so I assumed a meditative posture, and I became quiet. And he said, no, not that. Closer than that. I recognized he was pointing me to the stillness that is already present. that the mind stream comes from and ricochets on and returns to in a moment of meditation or between thoughts, a moment of falling into sleep. And he was pointing me, as I'm pointing you, to the possibility and your own capability of actually stopping the mind. Even in all of the meditation that I had attended, I had never considered stopping the mind. I was most enamored with Zen meditations, which was really becoming aware of the mind and becoming aware of thoughts. But the idea, the thought of stopping the mind was totally foreign to me. And I assumed it was actually impossible until he said, stop. Just be still. Don't follow that thought, whatever that thought may be. And at first there was a kind of struggle because we are profoundly conditioned to follow our thoughts or to go to war with our thoughts with other thoughts and to fight our thoughts with others' thoughts. So I had never considered it, really, in the way he was saying it. Just immediately, in this moment, don't follow the next thought. And when I actually allowed that in, and when I met the fear that arose, that if I didn't follow my thoughts, I would be in trouble or in danger or in regression from the place I was in, which, of course, all of that was composed of thought. When I just was willing for a moment to not follow the next thought, I recognized that who I am doesn't need to be thought. It's here. It's already free of thought. And the thoughts that come from that may be beautiful and enlightened thoughts and complex, earth-shattering or earth-giving, life-giving thoughts, or they can be horrific thoughts, thoughts of punishment and torture to yourself or to others, war-like thoughts, because they are our artificial intelligence. And as thoughts, they have no soul. The soul is where you are. When you believe your thoughts to be true, and they can, of course, reflect the truth, but you believe them to be true in and of themselves, then you are worshiping a false god. And the worship of that false god will turn into, and has turned into, unnecessary suffering. So whether you cognitively understand that or not, somewhere you must know that I am speaking to you about your possibility to recognize the truth of your inherent awakeness, of your inherent freedom, of the inherent love that certainly you have tasted and perhaps realized. But if you rely on thought to keep that alive, it will fail you. It will turn that pure truth of yourself into an image of yourself, and an image of yourself that has reams of thoughts following it, positive and negative. And in that will be some war-like tendency, either toward yourself or toward other. So I've been interested in peace for many, many years, and I've looked for peace in lots of places. I never considered, until I met my teacher, the discovery that peace is already here. Likewise, I looked for love in lots of places, lots of ways of being, never considering that love is actually already here. And I look for my version of enlightenment, which I thought would just make me happy all the time, in lots of places. Never, ever considering that true enlightenment is already here. It's the light of your own nature. And your mind, the generator of thoughts, can recognize that and surrender to that. So it's your mind that awakens to the futility of its thoughts and returns home to the source of it all. I never know what I'm going to say to people because really Papaji didn't tell me words to say. He said, just people will ask you a question and see where that takes you. Just speak from your own experience. And so for these 34 years, I have been doing that. I want you to know that it's always fresh for me to meet you, and I look forward to that. It deepens my realization, and it deepens or awakens anyone who is listening closely to what you say and what you realize. That's why conversation, questions and answers, and seeing where that takes us is an essential part of this teaching. We don't have rule books. You can't memorize how to be. But we have conversations which clearly involve our minds, but are made from the point of view of enlightening our minds, allowing the mind to stop so that it can recognize where this light is coming from, where this light always is, can recognize home. So I welcome you here as part of what Papaji promised me would occur. People would catch some spark and appear with questions. Of course, if you have no questions, that's fine too. Then you have all of the rest of us to invite you to a deeper discovery of yourself, to fall into yourself while awake, not waiting for tonight when you go to sleep, but fully awake to fall into yourself, to recognize the spaciousness of your own beingness. Allow your mind to come to stillness without forcing anything, without a particular method, just in this moment, individually and collectively, being still.